So, the wheel has spoken once again, and this week we're creating a Druid. In my opinion, one of the stranger classes in D&D, and the hardest to pin down. I mean, what is a Druid anyway? Are they nature wizards who get their power from the natural world? Well, yes. Are they shapeshifters who can transform into any beast they've ever seen? Yes. Are they a bunch of hippies who refuse to wear metal armor but have no issue carrying metal weapons for weirdly unspecified reasons? Again, yes, or at least they used to be. And their role on the battlefield is just as hard to pin down. You make a Spores or a Moon Druid, you've got a frontline fighter. You make a Land Druid, you've got a squishy spellcaster. You make a Stars or a Dreams Druid, you got yourself a healer. Honestly, of all the classes in D&D, I find the Druid one of the hardest to kind of summarize succinctly beyond its vague nature flavoring. And this is kind of off topic now, but part of me has always felt the whole class would be better served just being a cleric subclass that worships nature. But that's another topic for another day. But for now, it is a core class in D&D, and therefore we need to respect it and create one. And as you can imagine, it's kinda hard to find candidates in fiction. Shapeshifters we can find, plenty of them. Nature-loving wizards and hippies, yes, we can find those too. But something that fits all of the above? I mean, where on earth am I gonna find that?
It's Maui time!
Maui from Disney's Moana, a demigod who can change shape thanks to his magical fishhook and who oozes magic from every pore. As always in these videos, the rules here are simple. We're going to create Maui using both the newly launched 2024 edition of Dungeons & Dragons and again using the 2014 rules. Where possible, we will attempt to build these characters as close to one another as possible, making the same choices, taking the same feats, and utilizing the same stat spreads. We can then compare the end results directly and decide which version of D&D is the best for creating druids like Maui. Now remember, my goal here is not to min-max, it is in fact to create a version of Maui in D&D that is as close and faithful to his movie incarnation as possible. So yes, I will be making suboptimal decisions throughout the character creation process. After all, what works in one edition of D&D might not work in another, and so if I were to build him mechanics first, it was going to go and screw my results. Also, yes, I am well aware that Maui is a mythological figure from Polynesian folklore, and so there is an awful lot of material to pull from, but for simplicity's sake, and also to ensure I have some nice footage to show throughout the video, I will be sticking to the Disney adaptation for the most part. But if you're familiar with the source material, do comment below on how you think it might affect the end result. Might make for some interesting discussion. So, as is usually the case, we're going to create Maui at level 9. In both 2024 and 2014, I get to choose 2 proficiencies for Maui straight out of the gate, and since he is literally a demigod who has lived for centuries and created most of the islands in the world, I feel very happy giving him proficiency in nature and survival. So far, so good. However, at this point, we see our first major difference appear, because in the new 2024 version, I get to make an additional choice at level 1, basically turning Maui into a spellcasting specialist or a frontline fighter. Subclass choice now, and since shapeshifting is kind of Maui's entire thing, we are going to make him a Circle of the Moon Druid. Obviously, he gets this one earlier in the 2014 version, but by level 9 doesn't make much of a difference. Additionally, in the 2024 version, I get to choose an Elemental Fury at level 7, and we're going here with Primal Strike to give his attacks more oomph. For feats in both editions, we're going to go with Durable because he's pretty tough, and Skilled because honestly, druids don't get many proficiencies, and Maui really does deserve a few more. In particular, he gets a proficiency in Navigator's Tools and in History. I mean, he literally has the history of the world tattooed onto his chest. For background, in both editions, we're going with Sailor. This gives him proficiency in Acrobatics and Perception, as well as Navigator's Tools, which feels right. He also gets the Tavern Brawler feat for free that allows him to make use of improvised weapons. Again, pretty accurate. For race, we're going to go with Aasimar. He is a demigod after all, born of a normal human before being abandoned by his parents and taken pity on by the gods. The Aasimar race in both versions is pretty similar, as should be the case given that this version of Aasimar was only published about a year or so ago in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. But interestingly, in the 2014 version, I do have to make a choice here about which celestial revelation I get to choose up front. I'm going with Necrotic Shroud. Otherwise, for language choice, I'm going to go with Celestial due to his ability to speak directly with gods. And after all is said and done, the stat spreads for both versions are pretty similar and look like this. For some reason, D&D Beyond was glitching a bit here, and it's not correctly showing the +1 in Constitution that I should get from the durable feat. But rest assured, this does come into place later when I am generating the final character sheet. It's just one of those annoying quirks of D&D Beyond you just kind of have to get used to. It glitches sometimes. And that just leaves us with spells. Now, elephant in the room first, I am well aware that druids have access to their full spell list at all times. On any long rest, Maui here can chop and change his spells at will, meaning he can theoretically learn any one of these spells. In this way, druids are a lot like clerics, which again gives credence to my earlier point that the druid class would work better as a cleric subclass, but I digress. And their strength really lies in the flexibility of their spellcasting. No, they don't have access to world-shattering spells like sorcerers and wizards, but on the flip side, they can chop and change spells a lot more easily and more cheaply in the case of wizards to fit the current situation. However, I always feel when I'm creating characters, it helps to give them, for want of a better word, signature spells, which they always have prepared at all times. These spells kind of define who this character is. We don't ever really see Maui in the movie casting magic per se, but luckily what we do have is an absolute bop of a song written by Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda himself, which basically explains it all. I can't play the song for copyright reasons, so I'm going to do a quick spoken word rendition with the help of a kazoo. Okay, I see what's happening here. You're face to face with greatness and it's strange. You don't even know how you feel. It's adorable. Well, it's nice to see that humans never change. Open your eyes, let's begin. Yes, it's really me, it's Maui, breathe it in. I know it's a lot, the hair, the bod, when you're staring at a demigod. What can I say except you're welcome? For the tides, the sun, the sky. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome. I'm just an ordinary demiguy. Hey, what has 2 thumbs and pulled up the sky when you were waddling yay high? This guy. When the nights got cold, who stole you fire from down below? You're looking at him, yo. Oh, also, I lassoed the sun. You're welcome to stretch your days and bring you fun. Also, I harnessed the breeze. You're welcome to fill your sails and shake your trees. So what can I say except you're welcome for the islands I pulled from the sea? There's no need to pray, it's okay, you're welcome. Ha, I guess it's just my way of being me. Well, come to think of it, kid, honestly, I could go on and on. I could explain every natural phenomenon. The tide, the grass, the ground. Oh, that was Maui just messing around. I killed an eel, I buried its guts, it sprouted a tree, now you've got coconuts. What's the lesson? What is the takeaway? Don't mess with Maui and he's on a breakaway. And the tapestry here on my skin is a map of the victories I win. Look where I've been, I make everything happen. Look at that mean mini Maui just tippity-tapping. And so we have our list. He created the tides, he separated the sky from the ground, he created fire, he regulated the sun, so we have the day and night cycle, he pulled up islands from the sea, he invented coconuts apparently, and he has tattoos which move around and show him all of his successes. And also in the movie we see that he's teaching Moana how to sail. He also stole the heart of Tahiti, which in turn caused the land to be cursed and things to die, and he also accidentally turned Tahiti into a massive fire monster. And although technically it isn't him doing it, this water spirit follows Maui around for most of the journey, and so I'm going to couple that in with him as well. And so in D&D terms, this all translates to tidal wave, control water, continual flame, sunlight, moonbeam, mold earth, plant growth, guidance, blight, summon elemental, and shape water. Yes, he gets more spell slots than this, and his other spells are going to vary from day to day and from situation to situation, but these ones here, they are kind of his signature spells, and he's always going to have them prepared. Once we've added our starting equipment, in which this fish hook is going to count as a sickle, just go with it, and his big burly body is going to count as leather armor, we find ourselves with this build, and as you can see, they're basically exactly the same. I mean, you got minor improvements here and there in the 2024 edition. They get a couple more proficiencies, an additional language, a few more spell slots, the tavern brawler feats, some more flexibility with his Aasimar heritage, and of course he gets an Elemental Fury attack, which gives him an additional 1d8 of elemental damage per attack. But really, that's about it. I mean, otherwise, he's going to play about the same on the table. He's going to be about the same. Most of the things he can do are the same. These characters are almost identical. And so, with that, we're going to pull up the Scale of Power, which is my version of a tier list. And where on this sliding scale between the two versions of the game should this almost identical character go? Right here, baby! Yep, he is substantially better now. Why? Well, it's mostly because of something we haven't even mentioned yet, and it's the core feature of why Maui chose to be a Circle of the Moon's Druid in the first place. It is wild shaping. Wild shaping in 2024 is just so much better than it used to be. It's basically like an entirely new class feature. It's unreal. So in 2014, for example, you can wild shape twice per day. Now, the number of wild shapes scales with your level, which makes sense. In 2014, you were unable to communicate in common while wild shaped. You were only permitted to transform into an animal that you had previously seen. And believe me, depending on your DM, that wording could really hamstring you. And you were stuck with some pretty awful choices of animals, being able to really only go as high as CR1 before it eventually became half of your druid level rounded down at level 6. In the new version, however, you can talk common, you can transform into anything you like, and the CR rating of your choice starts at half your druid level rounded down, which just makes things so much easier. And the choices you get, oh my gosh, the choices. Regardless of what beast form you take, your AC is 13 plus your wisdom modifier, which in the case of Maui means that he gets a massive AC boost when transformed. He also gains a massive pool of temporary HP equal to 3 times his druid level, which, hey, let's do the math there, that's 27 HP, substantially more than anything that's in the monster manual at that level. He can also add his wisdom modifier to con saves, he can make his attacks deal radiant damage, he can burn spell slots to heal himself. Okay, well that last one he could do before, but still, in every conceivable way, the 2024 version of the Circle of the Moon Druid just blows the 2014 version out of the water. And remember, the 2014 version was already considered one of the strongest Druid subclasses in the game. It's basically taken everything that already made the subclass good and has supercharged it, just giving it the same role on the battlefield, but now far more longevity and utility to fulfill that role. So yeah, that's it for this video, just in time for Moana 2 to come out in a couple of weeks and completely make this entire video obsolete. Lovely. Anyway, join me next time when we're going to be taking on Monk. Lovely. Until then, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment below if you think I've made mistakes anywhere, how would you have done things differently, and until then, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week wherever you are, and do take care.